Hi everyone. In this example, what we're going to do is we are adding two fractions and we have two different denominators. So we first need to find the lowest common denominator. But we have a bit of a problem here because there we have a negative and this is just a positive. So we would like to get rid of this negative. It's just a bit in the way here when we're going to find our lowest common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this negative to be in front of the numerator. Remember, this negative you can write anywhere where you want to, but when we write it in front of the numerator here, we'll have to place brackets around the numerator. So let's do that first. So we can use the equal sign here because it's an expression. So this negative will now be here. Okay, let's mark it like this. This negative is now at the numerator. Then we have inside brackets negative 15y cubed plus 5y squared. Okay, so then in our denominator, we won't have the negative anymore. It will just be 5y. Okay, that's the only thing that I did now. And then let's keep the second fraction the same. So nothing's going to change there. Okay, everything stays the same. But now we want to also get rid of these brackets, because it will just make our life a bit easier. So we use the distributive law. Whatever is in front of the brackets needs to be multiplied with everything inside the brackets. Remember, this negative is actually a negative 1. So we're now taking the negative 1 and multiplying it with everything inside the brackets. The only thing that's going to change, because we multiply with 1, the values stay the same, but the signs will change because it's a negative. So negative times negative will give us positive, so it will be 15y cubed. And then negative times a positive there will give us a negative 5y squared over 5y plus, and the second fraction once again stays the same. And now that everything is a bit nicer, you see that there we have a positive value. We can look for the lowest common denominator. Let's write it on the side here, lowest common denominator. First we look at the coefficients. It's a 5 and a 2. The lowest common multiple for those two will be 10. And then we look at the variables. Because we have a variable y must be there. But what will the exponent be? The exponent is always the highest exponent. When you look for the lowest common multiple, it's the highest exponent. So it will be the 2. So it's 10y squared. Okay, so that means we will have 10y squared there. And then for the next one, we'll have it as well, 10y squared. Okay, now we ask ourselves the question, what do I have to multiply this 5y with to get to 10y squared? And that will be multiply with 2y. So you can say multiply with 2y. So you have to do the same at the top. Multiply with 2y. So what will it look like? 2y will be in front of everything in the numerator. So we have to use brackets again. 15y cubed minus 5y squared. Okay? Because it needs to be multiplied with the whole numerator, not just with the 15y cubed. So that's why I'm using the brackets, right? Then for the next one, what do we multiply this one with to get to this one? It's just multiply with 5. Okay, just multiply with 5. So the whole numerator once again, so we have to place it in brackets. So let's just say here, multiply with 5. Multiply with 5. So the whole numerator must be placed inside brackets and there must be a 5 in front. So we're going to use the distributive law there. Right. So let's simplify by using the distributive law there. We will say, so let's keep it first as two separate fractions. We'll make it one big fraction just now. Just want to use the distributive law first. So 2y times that will give us 30, and y to the power of 4. Because remember, when we multiply the same variable, we add the exponents, and there's a 1 there and a 3 there. So if you add them, you get the 4. Then 2y times negative 5y squared. Remember to also multiply with the sign. That will give us negative 10 y to the power of 3, because it's 1 plus 2. That gives us 3. And then for the last one, 5 times 8, that will give us 40 y to the power of 4. And then a positive times a negative is negative. 5 times 4 is 20 y to the power of 3. Okay, let's now write it as one fraction. Let me just move this slightly up. So as one fraction, because we have the same denominator, it's 10y squared. So now we can say it's 30 y to the power of 4 minus 10 y to the power of 3. Sometimes, well, if this was a negative, then it's extremely important to put it in brackets, actually, the numerators, okay? Because if it's a negative, it's going to change the signs that you have here. It's going to change that sign there. But because it's a positive, and if you keep it in brackets like this, it will be a positive times a positive, and a positive times a negative will in any case be a negative, okay? So you don't have to use brackets when you add. But when you subtract, guys, please do not forget to use those brackets. That's why I say, to be safe, I think rather let's rather do that. To be safe, always use brackets. Okay, so brackets for this numerator, brackets for this numerator. So plus 40y to the power of 4 minus 20y to the power of 3. I'm really going to do it the long way now, but I think it's good so that you guys understand what's happening. So of course, this is inside brackets, but there's a positive 1 in front, so everything is going to stay the same there. Okay. So it stays the same. And what I said, when you have a positive, it doesn't really matter to use brackets, because have a look at what's going to happen. It's now a positive 1 multiplied with that is the same. Positive 40 y to the power of 4. Then it's a positive 1 times negative 20 y to the power of 3. Positive times a negative is a negative. So can you see that negative stays the same? Okay, that's why I said you don't have to use brackets when you use a positive. But you have to be very careful, because if that's a negative, you have to use a negative. You have to use brackets, sorry. So that's going to stay the same. So what's interesting now is now we have like terms. So we can simplify this. So we're going to say, let's mark them, 30y to the power of 4 plus 40y to the power of 4. And then we have these two. They are also like terms. Same base, same exponent. Can you see y to the power of 4, y to the power of 4, y to the power of 3, and y to the power of 3. So 30 plus 40, that will give us 70y to the power of 4. And then minus 10 minus 20 is minus 30 y to the power of 3 over 10y squared. Okay. So what we see now is we don't have any like terms anymore. We have y to the power of 4 and y to the power of 3, so we can't simplify this. You can, if you want to, write it as two separate fractions again, but I would suggest rather keep it as one fraction. Okay, don't go and now split these two fractions again. Rather just keep it as one fraction. We've done all the simplification, so you can stop right there. You don't have to write it as well, I guess you can. Let's do that. So we say 70y to the power of 4 over 10y squared minus, so that negative is this negative here, 30y to the power of 3 over 10y squared. So now if we simplify it, we can see that 10 goes into 77 times, and y to the power of 2 and y to the power of 4, so 2y's will cancel with 2y's, so there will be a y squared there. And then for this one, 10 goes into 33 times, and then 2y's will cancel with the 2y's there. So what will we, so there will be 1y left there, so we'll end up with 7 y to the power of 2 minus 3y. And that will be your final answer. I think in a test I will accept both of these answers. Okay, hope you enjoyed it, guys. That's quite a long video, but it's very useful. Thanks.